Not one of your singing days, please. That deconstructed lasagna.
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, DJ. Good morning, Devo. Good morning, Carver.
Good morning
to all you folks out there listening. Of course, the phone lines are open 414-444-5250. Free Flow Friday. So let's get to it. Let me do a quick cleanup on aisle 6. Yesterday, Michelle and I was talking, and I erroneously said that the Holland and Lincoln tunnels are under the East River. Actually, the Holland and Lincoln tunnels are under the Hudson River because New Jersey, that's where those tunnels come from, is actually west of Manhattan. That's kind of one of those weird little things in terms of that topography. So you basically crossing the Hudson River, the Holland Tunnel, Lincoln Tunnel, and then you can also do the George Washington Bridge, which will put you right into Lower Harlem. Yeah, put you into Harlem. So I I apologize for that. I've been in both those tunnels, and I had to remember we were coming up. We came over from New Jersey, and as it relates to the Washington Bridge, George Washington Bridge, that goes from Jersey to New York, an alum, Mount St. Mary's University, got caught up in what they call Bridgegate. She wasn't the chief of staff, but she was one of the staff people for Chris Christie. She ended up taking the fall for them basically closing down the bridge on Election Day. So
I remember that.
Yeah, and so Bridget Kelly really put Mount St. Mary's on the map that way. So appreciate that. Real quickly, I didn't get to this the other day. I'll do this, and then obviously I'll get to the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Baseball has now changed where they're incorporating the statistics from the Negro League, which went from 1920 to 1948, into all Major League Baseball records. And so that's had dramatic impact. For example, Ty Cobb, who had boasted the highest, batting average at 367. He's been replaced by Josh Gibson, who had an average of 372 in the Negro Leagues. And everyone knows that Mr. Gibson, he was with the Homestead Grays, which is a legendary power whose career was cut short when he suffered a stroke, died at the age of 35 in 1947. He's also at the top of several other lists. His .718 slugging percentage is higher than the .690 that kept Babe Ruth as the leader for nearly a century. And the .466 batting average accumulated with the 1943 Grays is higher than Hugh Duffy's .440 in 1894, and 60 points higher than Ted Williams' mark of .406.
You can't forget about the great one.
Who's that?
Satchel Paige.
Yeah, and what happened with Satchel Paige is that his ERA of 1.01 with the 1944 Kansas City Monarchs will now have the third lowest single season ERA of all time. And then, of course, the top leaderboard for on-base percentages will read Williams, Ruth, and Gibson. And then Jackie Robinson got a boost. Now they're playing a game, I think this weekend. No, June 20th at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama. That's home of the Birmingham Black Barons from 1924 to 1960. And that venue hosted the last Negro World Series game in 1948 and is the stadium where Giants icon Willie Mays began his professional career as a teenager.
I mean, Hank Aaron got to start out.
He's also from Alabama. I think he's from Bessemer, Alabama. So about time, and I know that there are all these
Who cares?
Baseball purists who are
cares?
going like, oh,
Who cares?
It was an inferior league. Some could argue that the major leagues were inferior because the best talent was not playing. So, this idea, this is long overdue.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you exclude a group of people, uh, and only allow a different segment of people to play in the league, it the entire numbers up until a certain point is going to be tainted because you did not include all of the probable talent pool.
But that was
that was there.
intentional
Right.
because
I mean, yeah,
we've
we
always
know
been
that.
known to be better athletes.
Yeah. I mean, we know that, but you know when you
Oh yeah, we've always been
I would
known to
say
be
good
superior
athletes. I think
athletes.
it depends on the sports, and the reason why I kind of push back on that is this is what white supremacy has used to say that physically we were more gifted, but intellectually we weren't. I think it depends on the sport and what you're doing. Some people, based on their body types, are better suited for, you know, different types of sports.
But but even then, if you do your history, you know, we always talk about science being subjective and things of that nature. Well, uh, when the people who are collecting the data and then reporting the data are objective, then you know those numbers are as true to it. I mean, you know, if we would just go off of that, people will still think that women aren't as intelligent as men, but we know that that's dumb. And there is, you know, what did they say? Women's skulls were smaller, so that made them less intelligent, which was completely dumb. No, their skulls were smaller because they're women. They have smaller bodies overall. That has nothing to do with intellect. And so, um, like you said, uh, well overdue. But as far as you alluded to, like those purists, they could shut up.
And I think the other piece is so ironic now because there's such a low percentage of African Americans playing baseball.
Mhm.
You have a lot of Caribbean
Caribbean, yep.
Africans who are playing, but it's not that big of a sport. When I was a kid, it was still pretty big. But if you're in places like Wisconsin, for example, baseball is maybe 4 or 5 months, right? If you're in Florida, Texas, it's year round. You know, so I think there's a lot of things. I think because
economically that has something to do with it too.
Cost. And then I think basketball became an affordable game to play.
Football too.
Yeah, football. Yeah, if you just wanted to play pickup,
right?
You know, I mean, football. But
I mean, you could play football anywhere. You can't really play baseball anywhere.
We used to play softball, man. We had you know where Bader is on King Drive? There's a parking lot. Their parking lot. That used to be a public municipal parking lot. And so we would play softball there. Now that's why everybody from that neighborhood.
My mom used to play softball too.
Yeah, it was straight center field because you go left or right, you break in the window.
Right.
You know, so it was yeah.
I mean you can play baseball anywhere when you use your imagination, but like with football, it takes less. You know, you could just be on a sidewalk or a street.
Well, soccer's,
you know,
soccer's one where
baseball you do need more room to play baseball. Then basketball, all you need is a ball. You don't even need a hoop. You could just have a crate.
You make a hoop.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
And that's why football, soccer is so popular because it's the easiest sport to play. Really, all you need is a ball and some space, and then you're out there playing.
That's it.
And we played soccer when we were kids. We had this particular teacher at Fifth Street who loved soccer. So if you were at Fifth Street School, when I was there, soccer was bigger than football. We didn't play basketball. I didn't start playing basketball, man, until I got like 10, 11. It was still football, baseball. Those were the big sports. But I think it's ironic now that you have less African Americans in the major leagues, playing baseball.
But I mean, that just goes to just the times that were and the times that are today. I mean, a lot of people would associate baseball to the family, the black family structure, or the community. And you know, you would always hear about stories playing catch with your dad. You would, you know, basketball. You don't need anybody really. I mean, it's nice to shoot free throws or something with your dad or your brother or whatever, but you could just do that alone. Baseball, you can't do nothing alone.
Let me do two of my experiences working with the fatherhood program. The state of Texas came out with a video. It's a whole package, educational package, where they were trying to prevent second pregnancies among teenagers. And so they have all these little vignettes, right? So one of the vignettes they have is that you see a kid, little DJ with his glove, and he throws the ball, right? And then they pan over. Shout out to Brother Nate Luckett, the good folks there at the New Pitts Mortuary. Good morning, folks. How's everybody? And so he throws the ball. There was nobody there to catch it. You talk about playing catch with your dad. And I said, oh, that's my story. I threw it. I didn't have a dad to throw the ball to. Then the second one was the influence of dads. And this is a Volkswagen commercial that we end up using. So there's a Volkswagen commercial where you see this little boy throwing the ball. And he's, it is not the best form at all. And I don't want to say he throws like a girl, because if you see women's softball, those girls can throw, right? But he's throwing the ball. So his dad catches the ball, and they pan in on his dad. And his dad throws the ball the same way.
I saw that commercial.
So it talks about the influence. And both of those things were with baseball. And I'll be honest with you, man, I love football more than I love basketball. And I play basketball, and I didn't really, really play football. But man, football is still my favorite sport. I've been certainly pro football, and I know all the politics that goes along with pro football.
Nothing tops basketball for me.
Right. So it was
basketball, football, then baseball. But I just love sports, but nothing could top basketball for me.
And fell in love with soccer right when I first retired. I had a lot of time on my hands, and the World Cup just happened to be played in South Africa. Mm-hmm. So, man, I got a chance to, and helped me really appreciate the game. It's like people going to a hockey game. If you're not a hockey fan, it's hard to follow the game, right? Yeah. Or a soccer match, people going, oh man, it's so boring. Not if you're a soccer player, because you understand how difficult it is to score a goal in soccer.
They say that about baseball too.
What, the hits?
No, it's boring.
It is. That's why they went to the pitch clock.
I don't think it's boring, but they was taking all day pitching that ball.
Okay. Okay. All right. So
I just before we move on, I just give a quick shout out to my girlfriend. Yesterday was her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So hopefully you got a lot of positivity and good gifts from the students that you got, obviously from myself and other family members. So
what her name is? You just said my girlfriend. That's her name?
Yeah.
Wow. Very secretive.
All right.
Why you brush that off like that, Keith?
Because
you don't want to give her a name?
Keith met her.
So
I still forgot her name.
Because Keith met her, that suffices?
Yeah. That means she exists.
I didn't accuse you of her being superficial or nothing. I didn't.
Who was
say she was
that was the linebacker at Notre Dame?
Teo.
He got this girl didn't exist, and he's in love with her. The whole piece, she didn't even exist. It was a dude, right?
Why did you say
No,
that?
I
DJ?
think
I'm not accusing you of,
I think that was what was that called?
Catfish.
Yeah.
Catfish.
I wasn't trying to say you made her up or nothing. It was a figment of your imagination or anything. What's going on with that, man? I've never seen her like
just providing a little bit more clarity.
Yeah. And I'm probably a little bit more public than I sometimes should be.
So you're not going to give her a name?
Yeah.
No.
Can we just make up a name for her, like Alberta?
No, hell no. No.
Susie
Geraldine?
May? Susie May?
Nah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Alberta.
Sure.
Also known as so would you call her like your boo?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because that was our slang term yesterday. Boo is for a very special lady.
I'm too old for that.
What? Be your boo?
You're also too old for
do that,
girlfriend.
you do that in
You're never too old for girlfriend, man.
Yeah, you're too old for girlfriend.
What age? What age is cut off?
I mean,
for
I gotta,
girlfriend?
I gotta propose.
20, 21.
What?
Yeah, no more girlfriends then, man. It's your lady friend. My lady.
It's the same thing.
Same thing, man.
Even if you say my girl, but girlfriend.
Yeah,
That's old.
that's my girl. That's my boo.
But again,
That's my candy yams.
that's more hip than my girlfriend.
Candy yams.
That's my candy.
I wouldn't
yams.
call her that just because I don't even like
didn't
candy yams.
insinuate candy yams. He's going a little bit overboard.
Oh no, that's what that is my nickname for my wife is candy yams.
See, he must like candy yams.
I hate sweet potatoes.
See,
Really?
I hate
call
why
her
would
that.
you
But
call it?
but I love candy yams.
Oh.
But I hate.
But
sweet
you know what I've
potatoes.
been told?
What's that?
They're one and the same.
They are. And why is she candy yams? She's so sweet, she'll give you diabetes.
And this guy here.
All right.
You cook too.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, so that line kind of ring true for him.
I would suggest to your friend, your lady, that if she don't cook, she needs to start. I'll throw that out there. I understand they all professional and the whole piece.
She can throw down.
She could.
Yeah. But you better cook.
Did you hear that? I said she can throw it out. She cook.
Yeah.
I
mean, she what?
Okay.
I ain't saying,
okay. Can she burn?
I don't know what that means, man.
Cook real well.
Yeah.
Put your foot in it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Keith, you got a caller. You want to take it? They might want to tell DJ.
Who is it?
I don't know.
No, they don't.
Do I look like Tyrone W? I can't see that.
No. Just keep going. Keep going. Let me check it out.
Okay. Yeah, let's do this. I'll set it up and then we'll get to call it. Obviously, anybody with a television set, radio, computer, cell phone is aware that Donald Trump was convicted of 34 counts yesterday in New York. First of all, I was surprised at how quick the verdict came because Rhonda called me. She's going someplace. She called me and she said, they're getting ready to do the verdict. I go, what? So that was they gave the 30-minute standby. And then I thought, okay, not all the charges, all 34 charges, And
I mean,
counts.
I was surprised. You just knew that he was going to be found not guilty.
I felt like there would be one jurist that would hold out.
That was my fear. That was my
at least one.
Because that's what happened in South Carolina when Mr. Scott was shot in the back by the police officer.
Mm-hmm.
They got it on video. They show him planting evidence. And this one elderly white jurist held out and said, I just cannot see myself voting for a conviction. And so he ended up with a hung jury.
But how did he even get past the screening process?
Well,
it's always a screening process. Like let's just say,
is that the voir dire?
Let's just say something like that does happen.
But
and you pro-black. Just wait.
Maybe he didn't come in with a predetermined. It was the preponderance of the evidence that didn't
They
sway him.
They quiz you on stuff like that, man. They just let dude get in, because I'm pretty sure somebody who was a pro-black person, against police brutality, all that, bet you they would have been like, oh no, you can't be in the jury.
But once you
can't be
once
in this jury.
Once you do all your, what it calls strikes, where you strike that jurist,
Mm-hmm.
You still could have a pool where there's some people in that pool and you have no more strikes. Obviously, for the defense, they wanted this dude on the jury.
Clearly.
But it was one dude. It was 11-1.
That's all it take.
Exactly. And so that's what you're looking for. And they said that they thought that there was at least one juror in the Trump trial that would do the whole thing. Hold out. I'm not going to do it. But the fact that it was 34 and it had to be unanimous, 34 counts. Sometimes you get this thrown out, you get the
right.
So am I surprised? A little bit. I'm not going to sit up and lie to you. I knew this was coming. But what I'm really amazed at is the reactions and how people who support Donald Trump has come out and talked about how he was unfairly prosecuted. That people were they're out to get him because he was running for president. Here's the question, and I always do this because I see it on a national level, I see it on a local level. When people start talking about everything but the facts of the case, that must mean that the facts of the case are damning. When we start talking about the judge's mama, we start getting to other things.
His daughter,
the guy who left DOJ to go work for Alvin Bragg. And somebody pointed out, it wasn't like he had the greatest lawyers in the world, because he couldn't get great lawyers because people didn't want to deal with him. But the fact that all 34, that really stood out to me. I've been listening to all the talking heads.
Man, where's Rudy been?
Oh man, Rudy got his own problems, man. Rudy's
do.
been indicted out in Arizona.
Rudy's been really quiet.
Right. He keeping it on the low, trying to get money. He's in deep doo-doo. Yeah. I mean, but it's amazing to me that there are people out there who, again, the hypocrisy is just so brazen. And then I'm offended as a black man because I know that there have been black and brown folks who have gotten shafted by the judicial system.
We don't even got to go about 20, 30, 10 years. We could just say this year.
Yeah.
We know we know that has happened.
And so the fact that people are coming out and sell your soul. I was listening to one of the commentators yesterday, and he was talking about either Tim Scott or the kid Donald from Florida. And he pointed out, said this kid Donald grew up in New York. He knows what happens in the judicial system when it comes to black people, right? And that you have people who will come out, and he said, in effect, he sold his soul cheap. He said, at least Clarence Thomas got an RV. I mean, it's just amazing. And if folks are sitting here and you're acting as if there's nothing to see here, there's a lot to see here. And we really need to be concerned, because there's going to be a situation where, first of all, this election is going to be razor thin. Man, the word I want to use, I can't use on the air.
But I don't understand how he is a convicted felon now, and he's able to run. I mean, felons can't even vote.
Yeah, but you can run for president.
That's dumb, and he can still vote for himself.
And if he win, he can still pardon himself.
Not in this case.
Not the New York case.
Not the New York case, and not the Georgia case. He can for the document case, and he can for January 6th.
You're talking about the documents that he had at
that
Mar-a-Lago and
down
all
in
that.
Mar-a-Lago, and for those, and that's why he's been delaying them, because his expectation is, if I delay it, we don't go to trial until next year. If I'm elected president, I tell DOJ, stand down, because whoever the new attorney general is going to come in and go, well, we're just not going to do it.
Because he's going to appoint him, right?
Yeah, he gets to appoint him. And so when people say it doesn't matter, it really does matter. And I understand, and as we go forward,
I mean, he shouldn't be able to run.
It's not a disqualifier.
You're a convicted felon.
I mean, our laws are
felons
written.
can't even vote.
Yeah,
Right.
but
That's a state issue. On a federal level, Gary George is a convicted felon. He's run for Congress, and there would be nothing barring him, if he was elected, to serving in Congress. I mean, that's the little quirk.
let me
in the federal law.
let me ask this: is there any loophole? Well, I guess there isn't. I mean, it's point
We
blank
talking
that-
about
that
a
he can't.
loophole.
No, but I guess where I was going with this is, if you do this while in office, because some of this occurred while in office, shouldn't that
Right.
be a disqualifier for being able to
You're
run
impeached.
again?
You have to be impeached. He was
Which he
twice
was.
impeached.
Yeah.
But then you have to be convicted by the Senate.
Mhm.
And so, yeah.
But he had the Senate. They weren't going. They weren't.
Right. You need 70 votes in the Senate
Yeah.
in order to get a conviction. They wouldn't even, because all you needed was 20 Republicans to say, hey, I'm not down with it. So it is the law.
That's why impeachment is a sham too.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a waste of time.
what happens is, and this is how far we've really come in 50 years. 50 years ago in August, Richard Nixon resigned, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was not impeached, but the threat of impeachment was enough that he was going to resign. Plus, not only that, it was a situation where he would have been convicted in the Senate. Goldwater told him he didn't have enough votes. He was going to be convicted. So why do that? Why get impeached? Why be convicted? I'll just step away.
Mm-hmm.
But this dude was impeached twice.
Right.
I mean, and so for all these moral people out there, all these people who are supposedly Christians, and you have issues with people, but then you have no problem with this guy. Because I'm going to tell you something that trumps Christianity: power. It trumps Christianity. Folks who are, really about power, they will sell their souls, literally. They will literally sell their souls. And so when people kind of go, why is he doing it? Power. They want to be around power. They want to have access to power.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, so phone lines, well, let me do this caller real quick. All right, caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning. You on air?
Good morning, brothers. How y'all doing this morning?
All right, and yourself?
I'm doing great. And yesterday was my girlfriend's birthday too.
Happy birthday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What's your girlfriend
And the question is, Little Bell.
Alberta?
Tenderoni.
Y'all not,
He had an Alberta.
But I'm just saying,
She didn't put the woo on him, man.
I mean,
you
could be the same Alberta is what I'm trying to hint at. I mean, y'all might want to clarify this, man.
It might be. No, that.
Hey, well, my mama always told me, don't chase them, just replace them.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, don't chase him, just replace him. All right, what's on your mind, man?
Question I got for you brothers is this. It's a lot of people in New York don't like Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
So
And for obvious
that's one
reasons.
reason. Right. That's why he was convicted.
Might have been. Can I throw this? Can I throw this radical thought out? He did it.
Anywhere else, he wouldn't have been.
Yeah, but he did it.
Not necessarily.
Right.
I think the preponderance of the evidence was there. That the jury.
The preponderance. Ooh, he been around Keith a little bit.
They requested. They reached back out and said, "Hey, we're gonna
Sound
need."
like somebody used to watch Perry Mason.
Oh, jeez, here we
I
go.
know I did.
Matlock.
I know I did.
Heat of the Night. All my great shows.
I'm gonna give you another one. L.A. Law. I love L.A. Law,
too,
man.
too.
L.A. Law.
But again, when they asked for certain pieces of evidence, they wanted to see those pieces again. I knew which way they were going. Then they certainly wanted to be certain of what they thought they heard. And when you start seeing those kinds of things happen with a jury, yeah, it's not looking good for you.
And one thing too, they knew that. It was 4 lawyers, wasn't it? Wasn't there 4 lawyers sitting in
on the jury?
On the jury, I don't know what.
Yeah,
I'm not certain of that.
Yeah, they said it was 4 actually attorneys. Man.
Okay.
So
We'll be interested to see will any of those jurors share what happened during deliberations. That's gonna
waiting on the books.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're listening to Community Voices Friday. Joined in studio by Devon Jones, DJ The Protege, Debo, Harvey, Nate. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Jones, DJ The Protege.
All right, welcome back. Hey, Perry, I just got a message for you. The preponderance of evidence is for civil action. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. And then beyond a reasonable doubt is for criminal. Now, the difference is beyond reasonable doubt is a higher standard to prove.
Was that an attorney that reached out?
No, but it was a faithful listener. No, but there's the difference.
And there very well could be. They know what the heck I was talking about.
Right. The consideration.
There you go.
Of the evidence. And
thank you for listening.
Just all you folks, because we're trying to get our law degrees around
exactly.
here, man.
No, we're fine. No. Oh wait, you think I maybe should turn your mic on? Oh, okay. Now you were saying
no, but I think that difference is that that's real quickly. OJ won when it came down to beyond a reasonable doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
OJ lost based on preponderance of evidence
in the civil.
In the civil case,
There
it was
you
a
go.
lower standard, right? And
Correct.
all he have to do is just show some liability, and then it's up then to the judge and jury to figure out what level of liability that person.
Let me say this: you learn something every day, and I certainly
That's why I love community
stand
voice.
corrected and appreciate the knowledgeability of our computers, our listeners. That's our computers. Thank you so much, Keith.
Hey, and you know, as old as you are, never forget that.
Should I be turning your mic back off?
You know,
We can always learn something.
learning never
can learn
stops.
something.
That's right.
And it's interesting because I do leave here a lot going, dude, that was wrong. And I'll go back and check it, and then I'll come back and go like, oh, okay. That's why I do clean up on aisle
Right, I was gonna
6.
say you always seem to have a cleanup.
Because you don't, and you just because you're in the especially when we get those fast and furious conversations going on, and you just trying to get stuff out, and then you go back like, oh no, dude, that was wrong.
Very spirited.
Very spirited. We're joined in the studio by State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Full disclosure, she's my state senator. And so she's here. How are you?
I'm fine. Just kind of hot, but this water on the neck is doing the trick.
Water. Okay. Can we turn the air on, guys?
Yeah.
It's an elderly thing. The air might not even help.
Okay. Right.
So let's see if we can chill. Let's try to chill.
Not touching that.
It's biological. We were, but you're here, and I know you're here in support of the Biden-Harris campaign. Now I don't know who came up with this idea. This particular, is it Blacks for Biden? No.
I was wondering that too, but I think we all kind of get the gist.
There's another group out there, Blacks for Trump.
I don't think it's Blacks for Biden. It's Black voters.
Black voters.
We added an extra word.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
Black
you.
voters.
Don't want anybody to get confused in terms
Lord
of that.
have mercy, no.
But this is, we were just prior in the first segment, we were talking about the trial in New York, Donald Trump and the conviction. From all indicators, this is going to be, I heard somebody say this morning, this is going to be a margin of error election, which means it's going to be very close. And I think depending on what you're looking at in polling, it could be 4 points, 5 points either way. And so, we have been really fighting back on a lot of the misinformation out there as it relates to Donald Trump and what Donald Trump has done for Black people.
Not much of nothing.
Not much of nothing.
Not much of nothing.
And so there are people out there, though, who are either saying they're going to vote for Trump or they're not going to vote at all. So how do you respond to that?
When we talk about what Biden has done for Black people, we can even narrow it down to what Biden has done for Black people here in Milwaukee. So, for example, last year there was a big hoopla about shared revenue and the 2% sales tax increase. And, rightfully so, people complained that they couldn't afford to pay it because everybody's financially strapped. But what a lot of people didn't realize was that the city of Milwaukee was going into bankruptcy January 1st, 2025. We would have went into bankruptcy a lot sooner than that, but it was because of President Biden and his ARPA dollars. President Biden gave billions of dollars in ARPA funding to the state of Wisconsin, with Governor Tony Evers having the discretion as to how that money was spent. My Republican colleagues wanted to use that money and put it in a general purpose fund. They wanted to use that money to pay a lot of the bills that generally should be paid by our tax dollars, right? They didn't want to necessarily spend that money on COVID or anything related to.
But weren't we looking at a surplus?
We were looking at a surplus, and the question should be, why was the surplus so big when other states were coming out of COVID and a lot of them had deficits? And that was because we did not spend $1 on COVID related expenses except for using ARPA funds. Governor Evers gave the city of Milwaukee, I believe it was $389 million in ARPA dollars. And those ARPA dollars were used to pay essential services here in Milwaukee. We were down to our last $96 million when the shared revenue was increased and the 2% sales tax was passed. And let's be real, the shared revenue increase that they gave the city of Milwaukee was only 10% versus a minimum of 20% for other communities, and some got as high as 5,000% increase. And the city of Milwaukee only got 10%, and we are the largest revenue generator in terms of taxes.
And even with that, municipalities are still trying to figure out fiscally, especially when that artificial prop up, the ARPA dollars left. There were a lot of holes that a lot of these municipalities still had in their budgets, right?
Exactly, and that's true. And when we talk about funding, we'll use our rainy day fund, for example. The state of Wisconsin has $1.8 billion in our rainy day fund. That's supposed to be used for emergencies, any type of crisis. It collects $7.3 million every 30 days in interest. In interest. So when we talk about not having funds to fund things, that's a complete and total just myth or fallacy. We can choose or elect to fund whatever we deem important. The problem is that a lot of the issues that are affecting our Black and brown communities, my Republican colleagues don't find important.
When you were talking about this, we still got the $7 billion. I think the Republicans want to do tax cuts.
Well, about $3 billion.
About $3 billion now. They want to do tax cuts, not necessarily send that money back to municipalities for essential services. And many of these municipalities have unfunded mandates, like the courts. And so when we're having this discussion, how do we do it in such a way where, because people are still dealing with inflation, the cost of everything is too damn high. Right. I mean, that's real and that speaks more to people because that's a real pocketbook issue. So how does the Biden administration respond when people are going, well, my life is not economically that much better, even though we have a low unemployment rate? We still have more jobs than we have people.
He has to use grassroots efforts. He has to have people who are actually out on the ground talking to these individuals, understanding what their issues are, and relating that information to him, but also making sure that his message gets out. In my district, we do doors a lot. We do doors a whole lot. And I know for a fact the number one issue in the city of Milwaukee from the doors that we've done is safety. Too much gun violence. Number 2, reckless driving. Number 3, inflation, not having enough money to pay the bills. So I think that says a lot when inflation ranks number 3 and gun violence ranks number 1. For example, last year, I had a little issue on the floor. Said some things that got me like 13.5 million views on one channel and like 4.5 million views on another channel. I said F the suburbs. And the reason that I said F the suburbs is because I went to my Republican colleagues and I asked them to help me do something for the city of Milwaukee, help me do something around gun violence. It did not have to be for the rest of the state, but just something here in Milwaukee, because we had a couple of weeks where kids under the age of 10 was shot every single day. Now, my district has the most. So 5 of the busiest fire stations are in my district. 3 of the busiest police stations are in my district. So that means the bulk of those people being shot are in my district. When I went to them and I asked them for help, they told me, my heart aches for you, but that's not happening in my district. So to me, I'm hearing, as long as they continue to look like you, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was strike number 1. Strike number 2 was when they had the discussion for the shared revenue and the increased sales tax. The author said that Milwaukee was number 5 in the country for gun for violence. Number 5 in the country for violence. 35th in the world. And she was afraid that that violence was going to spill out into the suburbs and the rest of the state. They had an entire 10-minute conversation around this where they asked Mayor Johnson and Common Council President Parris, this money that we're about to give you and the crime that's pyramiding from the city out into the suburbs and the rest of the state, can you give us a commitment that the money we're about to give you is going to do, something to address the crime? We can't even give some of our parents who send their kids out on the streets to play the guarantee that those babies are going to come back in safe. And you want us to give you some type of commitment that our crime won't spill out into the suburbs when we've gone to you to ask you for help.
Well, I mean,
that hit a nerve.
What? But and I'm not a gun owner.
I am.
Okay.
I think she gotta be.
Looking at your purse. Okay.
It ain't
okay. But I see there's a contradiction. And I think that this becomes rather problematic when we talk about gun violence, right? If in America, NRA and other groups are very supportive of lawful citizens having guns. But then in our community, we hear we got too many guns.
Mm-hmm.
How then are we exempt where, for example, right now state law will allow people to take guns into that secure perimeter other than where the Secret Service has jurisdiction, where they can take guns in, but they can't take balls, but the law allows. So when we start talking about black people, why shouldn't black people have guns when this is the most armed country in the world?
And I don't even think the issue is black people shouldn't have guns, right? The issue is you want to make sure that the people who have the guns are the people who are supposed to have the guns,
Mm-hmm.
right? That they are legally allowed to have guns. I think the majority of people are law-abiding citizens, right? They are not the ones that are going out and having shootouts in our communities and not giving a care about who's out on the streets, right? The only people who don't have a choice of whether they get to carry a gun or not are our babies that are being killed, because they don't get to wake up and arm themselves, right? They just get to go outside. But the person who has that gun in their possession, they know they got it. And they're not afraid to use it regardless of where they're at. And that's the problem. The other problem is the number one way for stolen guns to occur in the city of Milwaukee is from cars. And a lot of those guns that are being stolen aren't necessarily coming from us. They're coming from people who refuse to come into the inner city without their piece. They can't take it in the Pfizer Forum. They can't take it in the mall, so they leave it in their car. And then those guns are taken out of those cars and then they're used against us. And that's the issue.
I know last year there was uh I want to say a semi-lengthy period where cars were broken in
Mhm.
just for the premise of, looking to see if there was a gun in there. Especially downtown.
Yeah. And that, all of that puts our community at risk. It doesn't surprise me what the RNC is doing, because in the state capitol, you can have your gun in the gallery, but you can't have pen, you can't have paper, you can't have a poster. So that's indicative of what we see in the state capitol. So they allow all of these things to happen, and then they blame us. For example, even if somebody's a concealed carry holder, right? The only way that the police officer knows that that person is a concealed carry holder is if they have their permit, or
Mhm.
they have to make a phone call. I believe it's to DOJ. They cannot keep a permanent record of that information in their data system. It's a felony. And why is it a felony? Why would you not want law enforcement to know or readily have that available, right? There's another thing that you can't trace. Well, they are able to, but they can't publicize it, is that the number of crimes that are committed with concealed carry holder permits. Because concealed carries look totally different in Milwaukee than they do in Wausau. And that's just a fact. Milwaukee has over 16,000 felony arrests in the city of Milwaukee a year. There's not enough court hours, there's not enough
Mhm.
prosecutors, defense attorneys, not enough to deal with all that. So a lot of cases get pleaded down. There was a significant amount of time where the only thing that would disqualify you from having a concealed carry holder, I mean a concealed carry permit, was a felony and a domestic violence charge. And that domestic violence charge, I believe that was prohibited by federal law. Then they did some tweaks to the system, and I believe that you cannot get a concealed carry holder if you are a habitual offender. And so all of those things make our community unsafe. And not enough is being done about that. And so when you talk about Republican leadership, we've had Republican leadership forever, at least since I've been, elected. And how has that changed things for us and for our community? Um, we're seeing a lot more help from the federal government than we've seen in a long time. But I think sometimes that gets lost in translation out on the streets when people, have that question about what has he done for me, or how has my life changed since being there. I get asked that all the time. Well, how has my life changed since you've been in office? People sometimes don't understand that it is, majority rules.
Mhm.
I can't get a bill to the floor. I can't even get a hearing for a bill unless Republicans give me permission. And if I can't get those things to a simple committee, then life isn't going to change a whole lot for you, because my hands are tied as to what I can do.
I think I'm hearing two separate instances where one is our battle with the state, and the 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 Republicans are the majority in our
Mhm.
state assembly, and then there is, you know, some aid that has been provided from President Biden. How are they different? But is there a sort of marriage in between the state and the federal that can somehow aid in some of the things that you are advocating for?
So the governor, he does as much as he can that's within his power. For example, when Governor Evers was elected into law and Governor Walker left, the state legislature made a whole bunch of changes that restricts the governor's power,
Mm-hmm.
especially in terms of him being able to get his hands on dollars and distribute it out in the community the way he sees fit. That's why those ARPA dollars were so important, because it gave the state an infusion of money, and then the governor was able to then stick those dollars in areas where he
Mhm.
saw fit, which is extremely important. Now, with Republicans at the helm now, they have a supermajority in the Senate. They have they don't have a supermajority in the assembly, but they're short by about 3 votes.
Mhm.
So a lot of the more harsher bills that my colleagues are passing, we don't necessarily get to see
Mhm.
because the governor is able to veto those bills. But they're only able to uphold those vetoes by just 3 votes in the assembly. And so Governor Evers not only gave Milwaukee money, but he spent money, especially for child care, called Child Care Counts. We saw a ton of daycare centers close
Right.
during COVID. And right now, the additional money that the governor put in to help fund childcare only takes us through January 2025. If there aren't additional dollars, and I mean significant dollars put into childcare, we stand the risk of losing 88,000 slots. And 88,000 slots is going to keep a lot of people home and keep them out the workforce and from being able to go to work. Not to mention, childcare in Milwaukee looks a lot different than childcare in any other parts of our state. And in the city of Milwaukee, we have the most low income kids, so we rely heavily on subsidies where they don't have to do that in other parts of the state.
Let me ask a question. I heard this the other day. Based on the redrawn maps, there's a possibility that Dems can get control of the Senate?
Yes, but it will take us 2 sessions to do that. So right now, so the senators are split up into 2 halves. You have the even district senators and you have the odd district senators. For example, I'm an even number senator. So I'm up for re-election now. I'm up every presidential election. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. The odd number senators are up every odd year. So right now we are targeting 4 seats that give us a 50-50 chance of being able to win those seats and get back in the majority. But it's going to take us at least 2 cycles because we don't have enough senators up this session. Now, the importance for that is that if we can get in the majority, we can start to do those things that would better help the community, those things that I talked about. Without that opportunity, it's really, really hard for us to get anything done. But those races are expensive. I'm talking about to the tune of around $895,000, and some of them are going up to as much as about $1.4 million, and that's per race. So fundraising and bringing money in is gonna that's gonna basically increase our chances. If the more money we're able to raise, the more money we're able to put into these races and to win.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're joined in studio by State Senator LaTanya Johnson. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Enjoy a free day plus celebration at the Milwaukee Art Museum on June 6th. This special day of art and community
Welcome back to Community Voice. And we're joined in the studio by State Senator LaTanya Johnson. Question: why does it make a difference who we vote for?
It makes a huge difference for who we vote for. And okay, so I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I've been in trouble before. But anyways, sometimes I think, in my personal opinion, that the reason that our community lacks so much or has so many issues, it's because of the people that we vote for, right? And the fact that we don't all turn out and vote. Um, because the person that you elect is extremely important. I tell people all the time, you wouldn't go to work and work a 40-hour weekday, get your check, and then give it to me to pay your bills or to take care of you. Nobody would do that. But we do that every single time we vote for somebody and send them into office, because we give them the power, the authority, and the control to make decisions for us. In that state capital, for example, something as simple as minimum wage. They don't want to raise minimum wage, some of my colleagues, because they feel like, employers would flee. But in my personal opinion, the biggest minimum wage job, part-time job you could have is the job that I have. And you don't have to go to work every single day. You have some people who, out of 365 days, they come into that capital maybe 35 days out of the year. Now that's a part-time job, but you're getting a full-time salary. So who you vote for is extremely, extremely important, from the number of liquor stores you have in your community to the number of grocery stores you have in the community to the, types of roads that you're able to drive on, your quality of life, the investment in your community. All of that rides on who you vote for. I look at the city of Milwaukee, and it is the largest declared first class city we have. It's not the only first. So, okay, so let me put this out there. Milwaukee is not this state's only first class city. It is the only first class city that has been certified. Um, for example, Madison is a first class city. And that could be taken care of just by certification from the mayor. They will not do that, because if they did, it would subject them to all the rules and regulations that the city of Milwaukee has to endure, and they don't want that. And so who you vote for is extremely important. I look around and, at the city of Milwaukee, us being the largest city and the city with the highest Black population, if we all turned out to vote in droves, Milwaukee would get so much respect, because there wouldn't be a presidential election that could be won in this state. It wouldn't be any statewide elections that could be won in this state without the city of Milwaukee being at the helm. The fact that so many of us choose to stay at home when we could cast a vote continues to make Milwaukee not be seen as the powerhouse that we are.
I think Milwaukee is seen as the powerhouse, though. We consistently, me and Keith go back and forth religiously on 2016, and the individuals who did not show up to the poll box, or people who just left that portion blank, go to 2020. Milwaukee was the driving force and the reason why Evers won, and why President Biden was able to overtake former President 45.
But what was the repercussions to us for not voting in 2016? So Trump didn't win. People like to say he won because people came out and vote. No, he won because a lot of people stayed home. Over 60,000 people in the city of Milwaukee. But how did that hurt us?
And so it depends on who it is, right? Because you will consistently hear people say, well, financially I did well. You hear that a lot. I would add that the candidates have to take some accountability and not getting those extra voters. I'm we had this discussion last week. We're not gonna rehash it, but
Mhm.
I'm one of those individuals where if an individual leaves that portion blank or they don't vote, that's not a vote for the other person. That's a vote for no one. That just means that the other individual had more people to vote for them, which
And
it's a competition. And
it's a
so
it's
you
a
have to,
it's a vote for the other person, because when you leave that section blank and the other person gets more votes, they still win that seat.
but
Now,
that's
whether
a
that's
zero. That zeros out. Now
it doesn't cancel it
it's
out
three
if the other person wins.
it's three of, well, let's say it's four or five of us in here,
Mhm.
right? If I sit out, there's still 4 votes for those potential candidates. Now, that's
But
it's not
what
5 votes for
but
that
what
potential
happens
candidate.
if instead of one person sitting out, 3 people sit out?
So now it's you got 2 votes.
One vote, or however many people are in here. The bottom line is that when we don't vote, right, because we're sending a message, we need to make sure that that message doesn't have a negative impact on us, because votes boil down to, regardless of who you vote for, who best benefits me.
Mhm.
Not, I'm going to send a message and I'm not going to vote, but who would best benefit me.
Mhm.
And then you cast your vote for that person. If the city of Milwaukee came out in droves, we could offset a lot of those negative votes if we got more involved in politics. I see all the time us going up to battle legislation and talking about how bad it is for the city of Milwaukee, but nobody from the city of Milwaukee is there.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of that can be because people are working and they're busy, and I get that, right? But there has to be some type of accountability too. You can't just send me into office and then just take for granted that I'm going to do what you need me to do.
Right.
I have to be held accountable.
So it's 2 things. It is we consistently talk about the voters, us. We have to educate ourselves. We can't
Right.
holistically always depend on you to
Right.
give us information. We have phones, computer, email is old now, but it's still around,
Right.
right? So, and then obviously we have the news cycles. But 2, it is a competition. So it is extremely incumbent on candidates to touch into certain demographics in order to bring those individuals out. And if they aren't doing that and they end up losing, then in my opinion, that's the reason why they lost, not because
No,
it's a competition. And if Keith does a better job at getting his voters to turn out more than I do, and he ends up winning, then I should have done something better.
How do you get voters to turn out? Let's break this down, right? Because sometimes a candidate that wins doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best candidate. It means the other candidate didn't have the financial resources to get those messages out. I represent 170,000 people, right? 170,000 individuals.
Right.
How do I get my message out to 170,000 individuals without that costing me millions of dollars? And where do I get it from?
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the voters in my district, not all of them, because I represent one of the poorest zip codes in the city of Milwaukee, 53206, where the median resale was $4,300 for a home in that area prior to COVID. But I also represent 53203, which is one of the most expensive zip codes in the city of Milwaukee. It's your Pfizer Forum, your high-rise condos downtown, right? So my average donor is about $250. And that doesn't come from anybody in my district. And typically it doesn't come from anybody in my district that looks like me, right? So how do I actively compete if it's all about a competition and raise that money to get those messages out? I'm lucky in the city of Milwaukee, you don't have to use television, right?
Right.
If I did, that's a losing game right there, because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, with my average donor being $250 a donor, if I was in that $895,000 race that I was talking about that's going to happen in other parts of the state, I couldn't compete.
Well, I would say obviously all of that is money based, especially with the literature,
Yep.
getting your stances, opinions, perspectives out. One of the biggest gripes, and I don't know if you want to label it as uneducated or not, but one of the biggest gripes on political candidates is, oh, where have they been? I haven't seen them. Now, it's unrealistic to say that you are going to see all 165,000 people. That's unrealistic. But in an effort, we're
Yeah.
just gonna agree to disagree with
Yeah.
the competition aspect.
I
but
see what you're saying. The effort has to be put in, but that's where the grassroots comes in. That's where people being more engaged comes in, because if you have individuals in the community that are more engaged, invested, then I don't have to rely on me getting that message out to every single person, because I can utilize you
Right.
too, especially if you're up to date. And those are some of the things that we're seeing the Biden campaign do. We're seeing him engage with those grassroots efforts, partner with those organizations who are going to be able to take the message back out into the community, because Milwaukee by itself has a population that's significant. We're talking about over 500,000 people. There's no way he would be able to meet and talk to every single one of those individuals. So you're going to have people who feel like he's not here enough, and he's been here significant. I mean, almost excessive.
I would say he's been here more than Hillary was in 2016.
No,
Yes,
he's been here more than Obama was here.
Right.
Yeah. And that doesn't even include, I was going to say, include the people from his cabinet. But then it's going to be.
That's important, because
Right.
when I obviously I haven't done the numbers, but just guessing, people who show up to a particular area or a particular state, occasionally fare okay, but people who you can identify when and where they showed up, they tend to do more.
Yeah. And that's what he's doing. And then we have to do our part to make sure that as grassroots advocates that we continue to help him spread that message. Our intention should be to not leave one voter behind. When I go to those doors, I go to every single door in the beginning. But when those election time comes around, you can't do that.
Right.
So I try to make sure that I put that effort forward ahead of time. But
that also speaks to your activity while in office, because just as you pointed out, touching those grassroots individuals, those relationships is where those grassroots individuals can impact you. And if you haven't made those relationships,
get people who say, I don't see you, where you been?
I mean, right, because it's 165,000. But I'm just saying, for the most part, if you have built some relationships and you have some grassroots individuals that can spread the message, you should fare well.
Yeah, the Black community is going to be extremely, extremely important in this election. And it always,
we say that every election.
No, in every single election they are. But in this election, they're going to be pivotal, especially when you see who the other selector is. And the one thing that I always tell people, what we see in Donald Trump's court cases, it just lets us know that with power and with money and the right skin color, the criminal system can look totally different for you. And not even the criminal system, we're talking about the civil system. Donald Trump has filed bankruptcy numerous times. He's always walked away with his property, with his assets. And not only did he walk away with his asset, but he had an opportunity to rebuild and rebuild stronger and make more money. That's not indicative of the Black struggle. When we look at the criminal justice system, the fact that this man was going through criminal proceedings and still allowed to be out, didn't spend one day in jail. Now, we know if that was me, I would be under the jail. First of all, I ain't gonna have no bail money. Let's just put that out there. but
because it's gonna be so high.
we can't afford it. So none of that is indicative of our struggle. And the fact that you have some people out there who think that this is okay. And I mean, some of the stuff that
The
he
fact that he's
says.
still able to run while being a convicted felon.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh
the law
yeah.
doesn't bar it. Well, let me, and you were talking about this, DJ. I think we learned a lot from I think we learned a lot from 2016, and I saw that when Tom Perez came
Mm-hmm.
and he made that commitment. I know we were at Brownstow.
Yeah.
And remember we were down there that
Yeah.
night. He made
Yeah.
that commitment, and let me say this: they have not only kept that commitment, they
Mm-hmm.
doubled and tripled that commitment, because that was the whole thing. Like, what happened here? And maybe I'm poo-pooing. Oh man, so you didn't see such and such. The reality is that people want to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think we acknowledge that. So we need to pitch now.
Yes, we need to pitch for everybody to go out and vote, because your vote matters. But we need everybody to do their part and to have those conversations with their neighbors, even if they feel like it's uncomfortable, but especially to have those conversations with our young people and with our kids. Our young people are doing some amazing things. I mean, some truly amazing things, and they don't need their torch to be lit. It's already there. But they do need those conversations. They need to be reminded, some of them, of how we got into this situation and how they can help deliver us, because at the end of the day, it's going to take all hands on deck, and we can't leave anybody behind in this struggle, or we're going to be left behind as a people, and that's going to be together.
State Senator LaTanya Johnson, my state senator, we appreciate you coming in. I'm sure
Thank
we're
you
going to
for
be
having
talking.
me.
We'll be talking again real soon.
Yes, thank you.
You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. They kept running. All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And phone lines open 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Anytime I'm interviewing folks on the national level, I always say this is the most consequential, existential election in our lifetime. And then another one comes. And so I think it becomes important because we do see the residual effects. People will go like, well, we did really well under Donald Trump. Can I clear that little thing up too? You did well under Donald Trump because of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, right. You inherited his recovery from 2008. So this idea that it was your policies, if nothing else, you went in and the first thing you did was deregulate, which means that the air and that we breathe, the water that we drink is polluted and contaminated. You wanted to green light the Keystone Pipeline, even though they've been talking about the environmental damage that pipeline is doing. So I think when people began to look at it,
he was a fool. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, he definitely is a fool, but I'm saying he's a second president that I can remember his first days in office. Obviously, Barack Obama, because he was the first African American president. It's just how historical that was. But when 45 won, and he immediately did that Muslim ban, that was crazy. That was crazy.
And you Negroes, the first thing he did, the second thing after the Muslim ban,
right,
was he ended the ban on private prisons in the federal system.
Mm-hmm.
First thing Jeff Sessions did, he rolled back because Obama said no more private prisons in the federal system.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that going to impact on?
Me and you.
Right. Because you got to fill those prisons up. They're not just building them
because those prisons sued the government for not having those prisons filled up.
All right. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250.
Y'all pray for Debo. He's struggling to walk across the street. Make sure he look both ways.
I don't know why you do it on that island over there. You get runned over.
Yeah.
Anyway,
pray for him.
We were talking a little bit about the we now have an NBA Finals.
Yeah.
We have the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban. You know what, Nate? I was thinking about Mark Cuban. Remember when he acquired Kyrie Irving, and people were going like,
"What is you doing?"
Has that not been one of the better basketball decisions that an organization has made? And when you begin to look at the impact,
mm-hmm.
He's a quality team player. I don't know why it'd be a bad investment.
Right?
Now he's a quality team player.
Okay,
he's done some maturing. I would say that it takes certain experiences to shape who you ultimately become. He's not the same person that he was with Cleveland, Boston, or Brooklyn.
Right.
He's not the same.
Don't have to be.
But and I'm just talking about the person.
What do you mean?
He wasn't liked. But that, and when you are working on a team, working with a team, being liked and likable matters because we are asking each other to sacrifice for the greater goal, right? And if there is some disdain between anybody, it could hinder the potential for progress and success. And so, like, who he is now, you can tell that those experiences have shaped him. And then also, he wasn't in a good spot, whether it was his fault or not. He just wasn't in a good spot in the media. The media shapes the perspective and profile of a player, whether we like it or not. It's a reason why Dwight Howard isn't on the top 75 list. Like that's a travesty that he's not on the list, but Anthony Davis and Damian Lillard is, and his accolades is more, but it's because of his image through the media.
I think the other piece of it was, and I like the way you phrased it, whether it was his fault or not, he became more of a distraction, and so then we lost sight of just how talented a ball player. He won that series when Cleveland played Golden State. I mean, he
Right.
hit the shot. I mean, it was so. I mean, it unfortunately, and then I have to back up because I'm not from the school shut up and dribble. I mean, I don't.
No,
I'm just saying that. But if I'm talking, I can't act as if people are not going to react to my talking.
right. And that was one of the biggest gripes with him. He would say stuff,
You know,
and then act like,
what I do.
yeah.
And I'm going like, okay, you have the right to do it.
Bro,
But the
you
fact
said
that people are not going, I said the same thing about Kaepernick, and this wasn't negative. I said, look, you did something that was controversial. You're going to get pushback. The idea that we think, especially when, now I'm not going to say, because I didn't agree with a lot of what Kyrie Irving was saying. He should have spent a little bit more time in class at Duke. But I just think he's a great ball player. And if anybody out here, even at
nobody
this
ever
advanced age,
denied his basketball skills.
right. But people reacted to him. And as we do, we might have a personal reaction, and then we're a little bit biased because then I'm not going to give you the credit that you deserve because I'm so negative towards you.
I'm surprised that people is even apologizing. Like, what are you apologizing for? If you said what you said and you meant it, then you should stand on it.
Yeah, but sometimes it is not what you say; it's when you say it. It's how you say it.
Even then, the stuff that they were saying, they felt that way, especially when it was about that documentary and about him not taking the vaccination. They felt strongly about that. Those people who was just giving them the blues. Now all of a sudden, they apologizing.
But he didn't just catch it on that.
They apologizing
Aaron
because
Rodgers. They tore Aaron Rodgers a new butthole on it. I mean,
not like they did Kyrie.
Because Kyrie, it wasn't just the vaccinations with Kyrie. It was also this whole idea. And here's the point. And remember I said it's where you say it and how you say it. You're playing in the borough of Brooklyn. Brooklyn has a significant number of Jewish people.
Debo is back, ladies and gentlemen. He successfully made it to and from back across the street. He struggled, but he made his way.
When crossing Capitol, everybody
struggles. That's what I was getting ready to say.
That's why I told them to pray
that's
for
why
you.
I was trying to be why you was doing the island and not up here.
Brother gonna ask me, hey man, why you look at me like that? Because I want to be sure you was gonna stop.
Right. Because I just saw a dude, because now the gas station is open again. They cutting across again.
Oh yeah, I don't go that way.
We're gonna have a bad one right out here.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Keith saw 2 accidents out here.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bad one.
Really?
They had ran into that pole.
Only 2?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've been here 9 years. Trust me.
Yeah, I
2
remember
is
dude
minimum.
ran into the pole.
Yeah.
Dude got his stuff and took off running.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, his boy picked him up.
Yeah.
His boy grabbed him.
Hopped over this little island right into that pole.
Mm-hmm.
Tripping.
Yeah.
Live TV.
It's Capitol. You don't need cable. You just look out the window.
And let me say this. Reckless driving is a national problem.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say it one more time. It is a national problem.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to any major city, right?
Ain't nobody worse in Chicago, but
Well, they've always been reckless over there.
You've been to Miami? Because
no,
now you have
remember, I've
foreigners
never been
coming
to Miami.
in who have no real clue to how traffic laws work.
Absolutely.
This is how reckless they drive in Atlanta, though. So I went to Atlanta for New Year's Eve a couple years ago. I'm with my cousin who's down there. He picks me up from Lenox Mall.
Mm-hmm.
He busts the craziest U-turn. We not outside of the mall. We still in the. He busts the craziest U-turn, and nobody honked at him.
Wow.
And I said, dog, the fact that they didn't honk at you lets me know that they used to y'all driving crazy
This is
like this,
normal.
man.
It's normal.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy. It was cluttered. You know, the Lenox Mall area is only like one way in, one way out. Nobody was letting him in, so he could leave. So he said, you know what? I'm getting up out of here. And it was the craziest U-turn. Cars were still coming. They slammed, but they didn't honk. I said, dog, I would have been honking like crazy at you, man. So they drive crazy. Like he said, they drive crazy everywhere.
Yeah, just like these 4 young people.
Now,
just
people
lost
in
their
Milwaukee,
lives out.
they drive crazy. You honking at them though. The fact that they
they're
didn't
still-
honk in Atlanta, they craziness to driving is on another level.
Do you think honking leads to road rage type situations? Sometimes you can lay on the horn a little too hard. Now they mad.
Yeah. I mean, I had people who I honked at flip me off, but they was in the wrong.
Yeah.
I had people honk at me, and if I'm wrong, I'd be like, my bad.
Right.
Like if you wrong, fam.
And you know you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you looking through your phone, looking through your trays, the light turned green, they honk. My bad. I gotta pay attention.
And I must admit, I have, like, if I'm going too slow, and you speed up, get around me, and we get caught at the next light, I'm gonna speed up and get in front of you. I'm gonna go slower.
Well, you need to be in that right lane. Don't be in that left lane.
You can't be in the right lane.
Especially on the freeway.
No,
Don't be in that. Don't be on that left lane.
We can't.
And you just cruising, man.
You know that's express lane. You ain't got no business going. You're not getting ready to get off or nothing above. So you rolling. That's the lane you roll in. But yeah, I've intentionally done it.
And we want to say that it's young people. There's a lot of people, and many of us
are people in their 40s and 50s be wilding.
Right. And then I get to my peer group and I say, here's the issue. It was a jungle when we were young. Here's the difference between when I was in my 20s and 30s and now. In my 20s and 30s, we didn't have half the cars that we have now.
I was just about to say
that. I mean, we have so many more cars on the street.
It was probably a luxury back then.
Oh man, now you had a car at the house.
Now it's like a necessity.
You
had one car at the house. Now you got three.
Right. I mean, man, to have more than one car. Shoot.
Now that's a luxury right there.
Oh man, you was living the high life. I'm living.
Playing for Minnesota, he completely missed that big old Kansas.
Dude, they were awful last night.
But like we was talking about, there's a process to winning the championship. It's only in rare cases. Those rare cases was Magic, Tim Duncan, and Bird. Bird won in his second year. He didn't win in his first. But usually every single star and team, they took their lumps in the playoffs because you have to learn how to win. Indiana, they were winning in the fourth quarter of every game. and they lost in those final 5 minutes.
Well, because it comes down to experience,
right?
And if you ever been in a pressure packed situation, you got everything going on. They don't know what to do.
Well, I think in injury kind of plagued them. I mean, having their star go out.
Indiana.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
We can't do that because we didn't do that with the Bucks.
Sure,
the Knicks too. I mean, the Knicks. The Knicks
right. We did do that with the Bucks.
Injuries,
not having Giannis, totally hurt us.
But injuries happen in the playoffs. I mean, when the Bucks won,
but there's a big difference. But DJ, there's a big difference when Giannis gets hurt and when Keith gets hurt. Right. Because Keith, even though he's on the team, he is not Giannis.
Keith don't play.
There you go. But if Keith is playing, who's hurt?
The whole team is
the whole
hurt.
team, because there's a reason why they only paying Keith $1.5 million, right?
Everybody's hurting.
Everybody's hurt. Keith playing. So I mean, it used to be with the Packers. I came in one time. I'm going, how come dude is in the game? Who got hurt? It's like he's not supposed to be playing. Yeah, I mean,
it's like trying to put Giannis' brother in for him.
Right. And he's a crowd favorite. But no, man, you can't.
Because he's guaranteed to get 6 quick fouls. He's gonna do something. He's not in there for offense.
gonna
'Cause
make-
that's not what it's about.
He
with
gonna
him.
make Shaq and the fool.
One of my
He ain't never made it.
Shaq and the fool.
one of my 8th grade
I don't know, he
teams.
might have. He should have made Shaq and the fool.
One of my 8th grade teams, man, we were the bomb, man. I mean, we beat everybody, and I had 8 guys on the team. Now the 3 dudes on the bench, we blowing people out. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. No problem. Let that game get close. Those dudes that moved so far away from me, man, I be going, hey, why y'all way down here? Don't be putting me in. But oh no, somebody. Now there's that guy out there who's Rudy, right? That put me in. But I think if you know how good you are,
You know how good you aren't also.
right? And so
Not really.
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot of delusional people out
you
here.
delusional.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, yeah, I disagree with that.
Oh
People
yeah,
don't
I mean
know.
you.
People don't know.
But if you're deluding yourself, why are you deluding yourself? That is purposeful because you know.
No, it ain't purposeful. Some
Okay.
people don't know.
Okay.
That's
They
a part
find
of
out real
delusion.
quickly when we put them in the game, don't we?
But that's a part of delusion is you not understanding what's going on.
The reality of the
Yeah.
matter at hand.
Right. Well, reality gonna kick in
Now, people
real
that-
quick.
People that know, they just a fool.
Right.
Delusion. That's
Say I can't hurt the team no worse than we already hurting.
right.
Franco the Jawe said he played football at USC, and he wasn't that good. He's a comedian.
Mhm.
He said so at the end of the season, last game of the season, they're blowing somebody out, and the coach put him in the game. He said, "I'm not going in the game. What you gonna do? Bench me?" Said all year. It's like, come on, man. You can't do any more than me. Now you gonna put me with 2 minutes left in the season?
Yeah, you lost that scholarship.
You ain't Rudy.
Get up out of here.
Yeah.
It was his senior year anyway. He was done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he can do
He had
that.
no more
then.
eligibility.
No more eligibility. What you gonna do? Take my scholarship? I'm getting ready to flunk out anyway. Caller, welcome to the program. I'll show you.
Men talk on a Friday. Okay, I gotta ask you a question. How are the Denver Nuggets?
How are the Denver Nuggets?
I'm from Denver.
Oh, they're on vacation. They're going
No,
fishing.
1, 2, 3,
Really?
Cancun.
Did they win?
No,
They on vacation.
they're on vacation.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
We got the
Okay.
Mavericks.
It's the Mavericks and
That other team from,
right
from Boston.
from the East Coast.
Oh, okay. I guess
So who
they
you
did.
can? I'm not cheering for Boston.
No,
I'm not cheering for them, but I think they're gonna win.
me too.
Well,
think so?
I'm not going to cheer for
I
them.
think I just cannot envision
I
Dallas
don't
beating them.
care, Keith, you don't care for my Denver Nuggets. That's my hometown now.
What, Boston?
Denver, that's my hometown.
Oh, Denver. Yeah.
Yeah, they way mile high. They
They can't be your hometown. You don't know that they lost.
Yeah, my brother used to call. My brother and them used to call me, but they probably stopped and with tears and everything.
Well, I'm surprised they even won the championship last year. Let's just be
What?
honest. I
That
didn't
was
see that.
cold.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Denver coming last year. I mean, there were other teams before Denver.
Yeah,
They came on strong in the playoffs.
Who they play? Miami?
Yeah, of course they was gonna beat them.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler and those guys because
yeah.
Bam, too little.
And second thing I want to talk to you real quick about is the reckless driving, of course. I want to know if they brought enough money in. I know we had what they were talking about yesterday, that they said some money came into the city and maybe got tied up into the legislature with the Republicans, what have you, to build a task force in regards to this, because there are no, Capitol Drive is just outside my home and where the radio station is. And of course, the major thoroughways is Capitol, Appleton, Fond du Lac, and because it's so big streets. Even my street's a wide street. They go to my street, Keith and Debo and the young man. like it's 100 miles an hour, and we have little bitty kids and just little children. And I tell you, Keith, I'm trying my best to get the police to clock them, to get over here and clock them because they won't stop. It's a long street, and on the 3900 block, which is the block before Capitol, they have the speed bumps. So we're trying to get at least 3 because it's a long block. But we got to do something because Keith, the speed, like I said, if I had one of them guns to clock them, it's about 95 to 100 miles an hour on our block.
Wow.
Well, I think it's all over. They had where the young lady was hit. What was that? Her boyfriend ran her over there on
Teutonia. Yeah.
Right. And then Channel 12 went out with a speed gun, and there were people doing 80 miles an hour. The speed limit there is 40.
Yep.
They were doing
Green
80
Tree in that area over there.
Yep. And then the young lady who was doing 92 miles an hour.
Oh.
I mean, and then somebody said, well, give them a ticket. You know, it's like, yeah, they're not going to pay the ticket. You know, it doesn't, you know, it's not going to pay. It's like saying people not driving. I mean, without license. You can care less. You can fine them. They're not going to pay the fine. Hell, they didn't get the license. So
throw them up underneath the jail.
No, because, and that's where it becomes the problem. Now, unless you kill somebody,
you gotta have a consequence.
Yeah, but then when the consequence, i.e., the crime/drug bill, people say we need a consequence. The question is, do we need to be building jails for what is really considered civil municipal? Drunk driving is a little bit different, and then in Wisconsin,
and reckless driving.
Yeah, but what constitutes reckless driving?
Hurting property or people?
No, it's how you drive.
No, it's how you drive.
It's how you drive.
I'm saying,
you ever drive over the speed limit? That's considered reckless driving.
Okay.
Come on, man. We know what's reckless and
changing lanes without signaling.
No, see, for you, it's not reckless because you're intentional where you're trying to get to.
No. What I'm saying, what I'm saying is when you are actively disturbing the flow of traffic or in the process of damaging property or people, that's clearly reckless driving. Now, I'm driving 45 and a 30, but I'm not, doing changing lanes like he was talking about, slamming on my brakes, nothing like that.
So when I do it, it's okay. But when somebody else does it's reckless driving.
I clearly just stated two different
because you said 15 miles over the speed limit, you still 15 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Whether you driving safely or not, you still violating the speed limit.
But a speeding ticket is different from reckless driving.
I think speeding ticket could cost you as many points as reckless driving, because reckless driving is now most people, they're gonna say like on the expressway, if you're 20 over, usually, because most people are 10 over, right? So if you're in a 70, most people are doing 80, right? But it's the dude out there doing 95. That's who they're looking for, right? But for all of us, I think we have to be, if I violate it, then I'm a reckless driver. And I'll never forget, the sister was calling and she said she got a ticket because she was late getting to church.
There has to be is
that okay that you could speed because you late for church?
You're supposed to leave early.
You have to differentiate reckless driving from the other stuff. And I know what happens when you assume, Debo, but I'm gonna assume you got some common sense. You see reckless driving and you be like, dog,
you ever been late?
Like
you ever been late?
That black car, this car, I'm pretty sure they're going over 30.
You ever been late?
They not recklessly
driving. You're not answering my question. You ever been late?
Yeah.
And what did you do when you were late?
I was speeding.
Oh, okay.
But I'm
That's
here.
my Perry Mason moment.
No, there ain't no Perry Mason moment. and it's not incriminate.
I did it. I did it.
I'm here, safe. Nobody got broke off.
Okay. And
You
the
ever heard
average
that
person
saying?
out there doing 80, 90, probably nobody got hurt until somebody got hurt.
Where? You shouldn't be doing.
This is a highway.
You shouldn't be doing
It
80,
is.
90.
This is a highway.
On the
This is a
street.
highway.
This is a highway. 91. This is 190, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
This is
Either
a
way,
highway.
you shouldn't do that on
Fond du
here.
Lac is a highway.
That's what's that 445. Yeah.
Any spot that got traffic lights, you shouldn't be doing 60.
What if you late?
Oh, tell them you're gonna be late, man. I ain't never did 60 on these streets. Now,
okay,
on the
probably
freeway,
55, 57. I never did 60. I did 55.
We had to do 60.
Didn't do 60 though.
Too fast.
That's too fast.
yeah.
I got a limit.
DJ, you ever heard the saying say if you on time, you late?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's Vince Lombardi.
So there you have it. That means you should be leaving early so that you get there early versus
I move
running
slow,
late.
man. I move slow.
Yeah.
Because I got a routine where coming here, but I also need to take into account this is capital. There could be an accident.
What
Now,
if
I'm
you
in it,
getting
but
ready
it's
to get
gonna
up
slow
out
me
that
down.
door, and then all of a sudden you gotta drop that deuce. You're gonna be late.
Okay. So
That morning deuce is
then you do
important.
57, get to where you need to get to.
What are you referring to?
You don't know.
Gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah, man.
Medicinal, man.
Oh, geez.
You that's not a part of your routine. The morning deuce.
That's first. You get up. Never mind. I won't give you my morning routine.
I received the text. We were talking about Donald Trump. And so I'm gonna read the text and then we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, it's gonna be that time, man.
He said he broke a New York law, which most people, particularly voters, knew nothing about. Look at the law books in most states, ordinances of local governments, and then the federal government, and most of us know nothing about it. This is true. In this case, a jury was given a specific law and evidence related to how he broke that specific law, which most of us know nothing about. And he was found guilty by a group of people who got a clear explanation of the law and its application. And he was found guilty. He has been a cheat, grifter, and most of the other things that relate to his selfishness most of his life. His crooked dealings and misuse of the criminal justice system are legendary. On and on. As he should have been, he was convicted and found guilty of breaking a law that exists and was administered by the system, which he has violated most of his life.
And on that note, I just want to give my girlfriend another happy birthday shout
What's
out.
her name?
My darling baby. my
Oh,
latest,
my
my greatest
darling
inspiration.
baby.
Yeah. You know,
Is
Love
one,
you.
Is one in a million.
my
Yeah.
1 in a million.
Your lumps can poop.
I don't know what that means.
You'll bet you by golly wow.
My bet you by golly wow.
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 Happy birthday.
Next week, hey man, how's your girl? Yeah. All right. Let's move, keep it moving.
Man, I had to get rid of her, man.
No.
What did he do? Say his mama said, grandmama said, don't
Don't
chase
chase
him,
him,
replace him.
him.
That's not gonna be me.
It could be,
It
man. I
could be,
don't do
man.
that.
Never say never. Never say
Can't believe
never.
you talk like that, DJ. You know how this go, man.
Yeah.
You something like a player, ain't you?
But you gotta know what's going on, man.
But then there's
You don't
some
even know her
things-
name, let alone what's going on.
I know her name. You don't know her name. And that's the point. That's the
You
point.
scared? You scared?
Hey, man,
Nah.
you gotta go home. I know I catch it. Do what you do, bro. Protect that,
I
man.
got my big boy.
How many
draws
times
on.
you done left here, Debo? You in trouble?
Quite often. Quite probably today. Why you need to know the man's woman's name? We talk crazy to DJ about his
How many
woman.
times I done walked up
What's
in the
my
house
name?
and what? You said what?
What's my name?
Like, oh man.
That's the only name you need to be worried about.
First of all, I was very flattered that, my wife even listened to me, but then after a while, I'm going like,
Are you flattered that she listens to the show?
Yeah, because
The program.
Hey, man, I played a record one time. Now, y'all check this out. I played a record one time. It says, I'm thankful for my woman on the side. It's a song by Vic Allen. So I played the record, and I said, yes, yes, yes. I'm thankful for my woman on the side. Sounds of Vic Allen. Man, by the time I got home, somebody had called my wife and said, I thought Debo was a better man than that. And she said, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, he was on the radio talking about he's thankful for his woman on the side. I ain't got no woman on the side, first of all, but that's just so you really do have to be careful of what you're saying and how it can be.
And then what
interpreted.
people hear,
Yeah,
because they walk in.
you
and
can't
get-
control what they hear.
No, but what I'm
No,
saying,
you
they'll
can't.
walk in on the tail end of it,
Right.
and all they heard was this. And I'm going, no, there was a whole context to even how we got to that point.
So,
Right.
So today, I'm sure when I get in, she's like, oh, she on there talking about that woman on the side again, huh? Because she gonna get a call.
Oh boy, man.
You scared? Come on, Debo. I thought you was better than that.
Are we doing a break or we leaving?
Trembling. No, we out here, man.
This is different, man. I'm used to leaving at 58.
Nah. And we used to you getting here at
58.
never.
That's like you're so used to 58. Because you had to drive the speed limit. You couldn't do
Yeah,
55
man.
getting here.
That's why.
I didn't want to ask, man, but you having a bad hair day, man? What's going on with you, man?
No, I ain't having no bad hair day.
Oh,
I'll get my hair
okay.
braided tomorrow, but
Oh, okay.
How long does that take?
about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Hey, let me thank everybody for being part of the program. Let me thank State Senator LaTanya Johnson. DJ, thank you.
Thank
Debo,
you.
thank you. Carvey, thank you. Nate, thank you. Thank the whole world. Let me thank everybody in the world. Thank
Alberta.
you. And especially Alberta.
There you go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody on Monday. Y'all have a safe weekend and go from this place in peace.